Welcome to the Free Lunch Podcast, another episode with your boy, The Real Free. Shout out to our sponsors, Dobie and Rollins LLC, Track Major Productions, the best producer in the Northeast, and Frii Branding LLC, the best version of your brand starts here. That's our tag. We still get to smile when we say it though, so. Okay. But make sure you hit up all of the sponsors in the description of this episode and all the other episodes. Show them some love, check them out. See the websites, the Instagrams. Tell them Free Lunch sent you.
Free lunch.
Yes.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yes. So I got my mans here today.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you introduce the people to you? Let them know who you is.
Who I'm is?
Who you is and who's you is.
Well, I belong to the Lord. Let me start there. No.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm Akeem. Akeem Wright, to be clear, owner of New Inspiration Counseling and Wellness. And I'm here, free lunch, man. I'm here to do it. You know,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So simple.
Very
It's
simple.
that simple, folks. For all the rest of you that are obsessing over your intro, when I tell you to introduce yourself, you see how he just did that? He left it to mystery. Because everybody else next is asking, well, why is he on the Free Lunch Podcast?
Why am I?
What makes him so special? Other than the fact that you are a rarity in the social work field. So everyone who's a black male in social work is told. Is that actually true, or do just us outsiders think that?
Nah, it definitely has been like that for a while, but it's changing.
Yeah?
There are a lot more black male therapists that are coming up in the game. So,
What do you think is like driving that?
well,
Like, is it a part of like just more collegiate programs being better with advertising or appealing, or trying recruitment efforts, or do you think just a need, like kind of society is compelling it?
I think our culture and society is moving in a direction where it's accepted, and so
Accept it.
yeah.
That's an interesting word.
When you think about therapy and the black community, it wasn't something that we always gelled with or accepted or embraced, but over time we've definitely embraced it much more.
Okay.
And so since that's true,
So you're saying accept it, period, not
Yes.
necessarily accepting black male therapists.
right? So because therapy is accepted
Being
more,
broadly
now
accepting.
people
Yeah,
are seeing, okay, there's not only a need, but I can actually do this.
Yeah. You know what it kind of reminds me of is like when, there was a time where there was like no such thing as a male nurse,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then like,
It still sounds weird, but yeah, you're right.
yeah, right? And then you started seeing more male nurses. And then it's like, then when you do see one in the hospital, like you assume it's the doctor.
Right.
Like, you're not the nurse.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's what I love about the male therapist is I think, like any space, if you're looking for, even if all the therapists were females, I mean, you try to find someone, if you get to the point of in your life where you feel like you could benefit from a therapist, I think you really find a way to find someone who you have some shared affinity, right, with. And I imagine just from the general, on a much smaller level, just people work and communication with others that I do, I know a large part of that initial communication when you're, whether you're just meeting someone for the first time or, or in a more, serious context like therapy, it's like this discovery stage, right? And not so much always a discovery of like who that person is personally, but a discovery of culture.
Yeah.
And demographic, you know what I mean? So whether that's your race, whether that's your familial makeup, like if you're married, if you're a parent, right? And so if you can find someone, again, I think this applies for when you're like just looking to make a new friend, or if you're looking to pick out a therapist. If you can find someone who has these core fundamental understandings, it's less like explaining and discussing around that you have to go through, and you can hurry up and get to like the meat and potatoes,
The real stuff.
of the friendship, or of the therapy, individual relationship.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's what excites me about more black male therapists is I'm expecting and hoping that means more of our black young men in the public, in the community, find their way to being comfortable with.
That's right. To find their way into the space.
Yeah.
100% accurate. It's like finding a good barber, Chris.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's a thing. If you've ever moved from one location to another, right? As black men who still have hair, praise God. Right? Finding a barber is like a thing. Right? Like, who am I going to trust to line me up or I
don't think I really care about the barber's demographics though. I mean,
but I'm saying it's the trust factor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In order for me to get into that chair, I have to feel as though this person probably has the skill, I can trust, and I can relate.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the interesting thing, really, like the relate. I mean, for me, and I'm sure it's different for every individual who seeks therapy. Just like, every individual who seeks a barber. But like for me, more than like the plaques on the wall and, published journal research maybe you've been a part of. Like I'm looking for like the relatability piece.
Right.
Really. Because maybe it's because I think, in the times I've sought therapy, they've always been times where more or less I really just needed another brain to deliberate and exchange ideas with. So really all of the degree knowledge very rarely comes into play, right?
Hardly.
I find myself really just looking for affinity and understanding.
Correct.
And help me sift through ideas.
Right.
Of which I think many people are able to do who don't have the license and the alphabets all at the end of their name. And we're the ones, and there are the ones in the community where we tell them, hey, you should go get those alphabets because we see you naturally do that well. That just relatability piece.
Right. That's a big thing. I mean, I get that on a couple of different levels. I think having the quote unquote letters behind your name, sort of validates, you being in the position. But when we get into the space,
yeah, once you're there,
I don't need to say, A, B, C, D, E, F, G after my name. No, like you arrived here. That means you know enough about me to trust yourself to be in the space.
Yeah.
Now let's just do what we need to do.
I think it's probably also just like, really, I don't want to say any degree because there are some things that's like, you need that textbook with you all day long.
100%. 100%.
But I think with the, probably anything that's in the maybe, the social, or creative arts, humanities, type of like, space where it's really just people centric. Like, like, are you a good listener? Active listener, things like that really like come into play because I've been in some spaces, man, in rooms with people with a bunch of alphabets, a bunch of plaques, and they're a bonehead. Like I don't know who validated you,
who signed off on
that. Like you don't know how to speak to people, man, at all. You don't
personality,
know how to
man.
Yeah, nah. Now, somebody like yourself being a therapist, in this, how long have you been a therapist?
13 years.
13 years. In your 13 years, have you found it, I'll use sensical as an operative word.
Okay.
Have you found it sensical for therapists to seek their own therapist? Or, for those of you therapists out there who are afraid of that, the way I set that sentence up, or seek just very intentional counsel and safe space for you as a therapist.
100% necessary. It's such
necessary. You say?
I think it's necessary.
Okay.
100%. And we're taught that in school.
Really?
Oh, 100%. If you think about it, I spend 8 to 10 hours a day listening and taking on to a lot of that. And as skillful as a therapist may be, you sometimes need to have that healthy space to disconnect, but also work on your own stuff. So therapists can benefit from a therapist because the therapist has their own life. They have their own issues and things they're going through. So
you know what? I kind of think of the same way with like when it comes to pastors.
Oh, 100%.
Right? It's because, dude, like you spend like your whole week in midweek services, and then in the middle of the week you also preparing for the Sunday service, and then you got the Bible study service and prayer meetings. Like when do you get poured into, or like how does that happen?
That's right.
I mean, it can't be like this, like once every 6 month, pastors conference that you go like.
Right.
That doesn't seem sustainable.
You have to be. The thing is, like pastors, therapists, you have to be intentional when you're in the space of helping. Right, you have to find the spaces where you can hit the recharge.
Yeah,
and it's also not limited to just, hey, I need to be in therapy. Like, what are you doing with your self-care, right? Like, as a therapist, as a pastor, someone who is in that space, man, are you taking care of yourself? Are you going to the gym? Are you meditating? Are you praying and spending time with God? Are you recharging in a way that allows you to be as useful as you can be, right? Because that's important. If you don't get rest, you're of no use to anyone,
So would you say in your, because our listener base is really mostly made up of entrepreneurs, either full-time entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are juggling a 9-to-5, and have families themselves, so they're juggling that. They're people of faith, right? So they're balancing these three things. Are you finding many entrepreneurs visiting your office? Like, are many of your clients entrepreneurs?
I wouldn't say many, but there are some that are entrepreneurs.
You say 50-50?
70-30. 70-30 regular 9-to-5, 30% entrepreneurs.
Yeah? Yeah. You know why entrepreneurs are not here?
Why is that?
It's because we're busy trying to do the job.
Trying to figure it out?
Yeah, we're trying to get the business to stand for.
They don't have the time, man.
Dude, that's exactly it.
They don't got the time.
But that's, to your point, they have to be intentional.
Very,
right? You guys listening?
Very
Let's be intentional. Dude, I had this totally like side note. I like one of my closest entrepreneur mentors, man. I think maybe like only 2-3 years older than me.
Okay.
Just had like a stroke, bro.
Wow.
Like, I'm talking about, he's like in rehab now, like having to learn how to walk again.
Oh boy.
Like slurred speech, whole. And that like scared me. What made it more frightening is like he said when they did all the tests, test results all negative, heart is fine. So they were like, it was stress induced stroke.
Whoa.
I'm like, nah, man.
Whoa.
We got to be intentional about this self-care.
That's scary.
Bro. That's too close to me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, you're familiar with, like, I told you how, I had my scare. The surgeries, you know what I mean, with the blood clot thing. And that got me in a whole nother just headspace.
Yeah.
But that, man, like, those are the things that they say is the silent killer, that stress, man. Like, it wasn't like he was feeling some, heavy warning signs, weeks or days ahead, you know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, like for you, like how do you keep yourself being intentional when it comes to stuff like that? Like, do you have like a system, like a schedule for you?
Yeah.
Like how does that work for you?
So it's a really good question. I'm intentional about my schedule. So
your work schedule.
My work schedule.
Okay.
Well, how about we frame it? I'm intentional about my schedule, period, which includes work.
Okay.
So I work.
You're intentional about your day.
Period. My week, my month. I'm super intentional, right? So I got to work. I got to make money. I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I also have a family. And so I limit the time that I work to a few days, Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't even remember that I'm a therapist.
Really?
So Thursday.
Hold on. So you're a full-time entrepreneur.
100%.
Like me. All right.
100%.
So that means for everyone listening, right? There's the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Then there's the full-time entrepreneur. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the thing he does
all day
to feed himself. If he stops doing this, there will be no money to feed himself.
We'll need free lunch if I stop.
So, but that's so surprising to me that you've found a way, not only just found a way, but have committed to such a schedule.
Yes.
Knowing you do this entrepreneur thing full time, you still make it a point to say, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, though, I'm not.
Well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, how long have you been on that?
So I've been on that since I would say about 6 years, maybe 7. Yeah.
Has it been easy?
It's been a journey. I wouldn't say easy. Because all right,
What's not been easy about it?
well, taking the launch, first of all, going into full-time,
Yeah.
right? That's just
Full-time,
anxiety
yeah,
induced.
that's just frightening. Good
Very,
old-fashioned frightening.
Right, you had to jump into it. So
But you didn't have this whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing
not initially.
when you started. Okay.
Right. So
Because
initially,
when you start that full-time entrepreneur, you out there, look, I'm trying to get it however many, 8 days a week.
right, right.
Whenever the client is willing
Lord,
to
if we
pay
can
me.
fit 10 days in, we need them because these bills have to be paid.
They have to.
But no, so initially, if we go back to the very beginning of the 13 years, it was regular full-time 9 to 5 and then part-time entrepreneurship, right?
Okay.
And I was doing that maybe 1 or 2 days a week and then 3 days, and it picked up 4 days. And so being in the space of having my own practice has always been a 4-day thing, right, on the side. So
Got it.
I had to figure out a way to transition from the full-time into what I was doing part-time, but making sure that I could make the full-time money.
Yeah.
So that was the risk.
So that kind of was a pretty convenient segue, even though it could have been, high strung at times, but it was kind of like you already were in the habit of like, this is something I do this number of days out the week.
100%.
Okay. So
But
then
I
when
knew
it came
would
time to
make me
like let
happy,
go
Right.
entirely, it just was like, all right, I know with these 4 days or so, I can make full-time income
100%.
doing this.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
To what degree did family have anything to do with keeping and maintaining that Friday, Saturday, Sunday off? Anything?
My wife played a major role.
Because you can get ambitious after like doing this full time for like, however long, you've been doing it. You can be like, you know what? I'm kind of like leaving that Friday, Saturday, Sunday money on the table, man. I can kind of add another day, you know what I mean? Like what's caused you to kind of like stick to your guns and be like, nope, this is how I'm going to leave it?
My wife, 100%. So it was a conversation we had on vacation, right? And if anybody who's watching knows my wife, she's super impulsive. So she's like, you should just do it, right?
Just do what?
Go into full-time entrepreneur. She was like, Akeem, like just, you already have this thing, like but you can't get to the next level.
Still holding on to
this. She's like, just do it.
That's a gem right there.
She's like, just do it. I'm like, all right. So we prayed, trusted, and we did it. But what has kept me there is that the Friday, Saturday, Sunday allows us to have more intentional time together. So Friday is our day, right? Okay. So kids are still in school.
Oh, like Tuesdays, it means the wife.
Exactly.
Okay, Friday's your day.
Friday's our day.
Well, you got the whole day. Is the wife off during the daytime Friday?
She's also an entrepreneur.
But so Friday is her like no work day too?
It could be Wednesday for her. She's a real estate broker, so
okay.
There's no schedule she has. She's not tied to
Yeah.
So
okay.
So Fridays we intentionally make that our kids go to school. That's us. That's it. So
I love that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and church on the weekends.
What's some of the just like cool stuff you guys, just regular stuff you guys do on your Friday?
We call it Bougie Fridays.
Bougie Fridays.
Bougie Fridays. So we'll go and do things, right? We go and do things as if we don't have 4 kids, right? So we're in the stores and we're buying things and just carrying on like we have no care in the world. We do, but essentially it's the freedom of not having any responsibilities for those 8 hours.
In your head.
In my head, right? Until you start getting a text, hey, Dad, can I get $20, right?
Exactly.
Like, so, that's the thing. So we have that freedom for those hours. It's just us. And we just, just kind of do our thing. We go out to eat or, we'll binge watch something, whatever it is. It's just like hours, Bougie Fridays. That's
all right, so what's Saturdays usually spent doing?
Church, all day long, church.
And what about Sundays? What are we doing
Sundays? Sundays are toss-up. It depends. So Sundays is probably, all right, let's get ready for the week. or if the kids got like sports or something, or
Any laundry day?
yeah,
That's laundry
yeah,
day.
laundry. So Sunday night
end up being like laundry
yeah,
day.
Sunday night 8:39. Everybody got to use the washing machine. You know, as if they
Yes.
didn't have the whole day.
How many kids do you guys have?
4.
What are the ages?
So we go from 19 down to 10. So I have 19, 16, 15-year-old, and a
Right
10-year-old.
up there with me, man.
Oh yeah, we on par, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 18 going on 19.
I had the podcast we just released 2 days ago,
Yeah.
episode 103.
103. Okay.
Yeah, 103, right? That's when my oldest was up here doing her interview.
Okay.
So she came in the studio and did a podcast with me, and I had the 1-year-old in the studio too. And so, like on camera, you see me with my oldest 20-year-old child and my 1-year-old in my hand, and I'm just like, this is so surreal.
Yeah.
This is crazy, man. Yeah,
I love it.
and is the 18-year-old you have is girl?
Yeah, she's a girl.
A girl,
It's like 3 girls, 1 boy.
Man, what does that do to you mentally? Like to know you have a 18-year-old, but soon to be 19-year-old kid like this.
I feel old, Chris.
See, the weird thing is I don't.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me trip out more.
Well, you don't have as many grades as I do, so.
Well, that's true.
So.
That is true. You know the secret to having no grades, right?
What's the secret, man?
Listen, this is what I tell you. Parents, get out a notepad, get your phone, note out, whatever you want, right? This is the secret to avoiding gray hair. We don't let the kids stress us. We stress them.
Break it down.
That's what it is. So, case in point, my wife the other day, and if you're listening, okay, no shade, I'm just trying to explain to the people how they could, because the wife got a few gray hairs herself. Again, no shade.
All right.
I love you, sweetheart.
Put more buffers, man.
So, we're coming in the house, and it's at this time of the night, it's like 9 something. It's the weekend, and no, actually, it's not the weekend. It's a weekday. And our son, the 13-year-old, he has a horrible, habitual habit of being so engrossed in his video gaming that he will go the entire evening and forget to eat dinner.
Wow.
Right? Now, me personally, I've had this conversation with this young man already. And he's of age to both know what food is, he's old enough to know when his stomach starts to growl and he's hungry, and get something to eat if he wants. So I'm like, yo, one conversation? That's it.
Right.
But here goes mom with the gray hairs.
Oh, boy.
Wonder why she got those gray hair. She goes into his bedroom. It's like, again, after 9. Hey, Xavier. Our son is named Xavier. Hey, Xavier, have you eaten dinner yet? No. Well, then, why don't you get off that video game? I keep telling you that you need to make yourself something to eat. This is ridiculous. Goes on and on for a few more moments, tirade.
Right.
Okay? And then comes into the, bedroom. All annoyed now, looking all flustered.
Yeah.
Right? Again, these gray hairs come upon you guys. I need with these sort of like microaggressions, right? Happens over time. But these little things, so now, right? He's warmed himself up something to eat. He's now back in his room. Now me, just for ha-has, 30 minutes later, because again, I've had this conversation with this boy, and I've seen this go down and how it goes down.
Okay.
30 minutes later, I go, you know what? Let me just walk back in and see what he's doing. Because his stomach didn't compel him to go make him something to eat to begin with. His mama made him go make something to eat. Guess what he's doing now 30 minutes later?
What?
The plate of food that he warmed up is sitting on his bed, and he's back on playing the video games. So you know what I did? I went into the bedroom. I said, hey, Zay. Hey, what's up, Dad? Yeah, do me a favor. Turn that game on, turn that game off, and go to bed. He goes, huh? Mom said that. Mom said I have to eat. I said, yeah, I know that. And you're not eating. You're playing the video game. So you're clearly not hungry. So I'll take that. I took the plate, threw it in the garbage, and said, good night. Turn the light off, please.
Plate in the garbage, lights
in
off.
the garbage, boom, just like that.
Wow.
And then I came back to the room, the same room that moments earlier my wife came back flustered. I
Right.
came back to the room, beautiful smile, lotion ready to give my wife a nice, foot rub.
Right.
You know what I mean? And go back to watching my TV.
Yeah.
Again, don't let these teenagers.
That's smooth, man.
We're not talking about the little ones, toddlers. At 13, 14, 18, 20, we're not having these conversations. We come on.
Chris, he's hungry though, man.
No, he's not. And that's what mom will be stressing herself, making herself believe, but babe, he didn't eat. And he don't care about eating either. What are we doing?
Oh, gosh, Chris, man.
All right?
Gray hairs, man. All right.
Listen. Look, I'm going to be 41 this year. I got not one and still got all my hair.
Listen, don't. I got my hair, but I got a bunch.
Yes,
so.
you do have all your hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Praise God.
Bit. Small digression. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is, so with the, granted, you said, you think you have on the lower side, that the entrepreneurs that come in, are, seeking some accountability or help.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, that's another thing. Like, how do you feel about even just the whole therapist labeling or titling? Really, like, for some people, just view it as like an accountability partner.
100%. Because the space that you enter in, right, allows you to talk about things much differently than the other spaces you already exist in, right?
Yeah.
You may not be able to connect with other people on certain topics the same way you're going to connect with your therapist.
Yes.
And that's the perfect opportunity to value, the responses or the guidance that you're going to receive from a therapist. And be accountable. Like, come prepared for that, right? Like, when we process something, I want to learn, like, what am I like? What is it that I'm not seeing, kind of a thing, and that I can. All right, I get it, I got it, all right, and I can really, really be accountable about that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. So with the just the idea of, again, me being a full-time entrepreneur, and I understand you even yourself, right? You understand like that's really weighty. It could be heavy on the brain. I imagine more so, even, well, not more so, just a different type of heaviness for the person still trying to hold on to a regular 9-to-5 and, entrepreneurship. That being said, with many of, again, our listener base being not only entrepreneurs, but also husbands, wives, and their, or in parents, they're juggling family.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the critical things for individuals who may be single right now as full-time entrepreneurs, right? So they've discovered their purpose earlier on in life. They know what it is they wanted to do. They're entrepreneurs, and they're trying to find, in the midst of building their business up and, doing the necessary grind for that, they're out in the, field, they're dating on the dating scene. They're, looking for that wife. They're looking for that husband. For someone who's already a full-time entrepreneur, what do you think it's critical? And again, you being yourself, so I think you have a really great insight into not only just being a therapist too, but what are some of those really important conversations in those early dates, right? Maybe the first, 1 to 5 dates or whatever, when looking for that partner, what are some of those important conversations and things that the entrepreneur needs to have when considering a long-term relationship?
How is this
marriage?
going to enhance my life?
How's what going to enhance
This
their life?
relationship, what I'm pursuing, this dating thing, right? If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm single and I'm pursuing a relationship with someone, how is this going to enhance my life? Right? How is this going to make this go from level 5 to level 10? Because as an entrepreneur,
How's it going to make this, referring to what? What's the this?
so my life, right? So how is this,
life.
So how is this
Not
relationship-
necessarily the business that they're in.
Correct. So, because again, I'm already an entrepreneur in the scenario you
Yes.
make, right? I'm already an entrepreneur and I'm pursuing a relationship now, right? I want to be super duper successful in everything that I'm doing, but a relationship takes time. A relationship requires you to invest a little bit differently. But essentially, when you think about the quality of your life, like, how is it going to enhance that, right? So those first couple of dates that you mentioned, right? What are some like really, really like important expectations that you want to find out, right? Like what are those things that it's going to take me from here to there in this relationship.
To what like depth or like detail though? Because that seems like some sensical conversation to really be had.
Yeah.
Whether you're an entrepreneur or not.
Sure.
Right? So in the context of the person who's running their own business and they are in that dating scene, considering, long-term relationship, marriage, for them, what are you thinking are the really important conversations, the period of discovery they need to be having specifically because of what they do? How they make their living is really based on this gotta find it my own way every day. The hustle, the grind that comes with full-time entrepreneurship. That's what I'm trying to zero in on. What do you think?
I hear you, right? So
I feel like there should be a difference. And the reality may be from your seat.
A difference as far as if someone were just a regular nine.
Yeah, a difference as far as what we're looking to discover in that other person that we may be considering relationship with. Only because, and maybe to give some more like context and background of what's maybe driving that question for me is, if I could do it all over again, when I met my wife, I wasn't a full-time entrepreneur. But if, let's say, we were to go to present day, and I wasn't married to my wife, and I just met my wife, but I'm already where I am now as far as entrepreneurship, I would want to know if my wife could be okay with that, what I would imagine, bit more gross dedication and grind of building and developing the foundation of my business. Could she be okay with that for whatever projected amount of time? Does she have maybe any entrepreneurial
aspirations
herself, or is she against that? Like, does she look at it as instability? Does she look at it as equally safety and security in a partner, just as equal as if I came to her with a 9-to-5? You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of thinking, where it could be a different conversation in those early days.
That's interesting because in my mind, I think as far as the relationship, being an entrepreneur or versus, someone who has a regular 9-to-5 shouldn't really impact that, so long as some things are true, right?
Oh, okay. Well, what's these some things?
I mean, let's talk about it. Let's get real for a second, right?
Yes.
You have a lot of folk who aspire to be an entrepreneur but can't put a plan together, right? And so
fair.
Here I have this really good idea that I haven't executed, right? And I'm not really stable. I don't have a firm foundation. If I can be clear, I'm not really making any money. Right? Come on.
Because you got the fully broke entrepreneurs.
Let's keep it real, right? You got the dudes that have the dope ideas like, yo, it's gonna be I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Yo, wait till I do this. 2025 come. I'm gonna kill it. You go on a date.
You've been killing it for 3 years.
You've been killing it for 3 years, fam. Like, it's still alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? Right? So,
okay.
If you're coming to the table to date somebody, 9-to-5 or entrepreneur, have your stuff together. Because if I'm not married and I'm seeking someone, I want to know if they're stable. I want to know if they have certain things in order, right? Your aspirations are aspirations based on the fact that you could, be successful with it. Are you successful right now, right? Because if I'm trying to figure it out, right, but I'm living in my mom's basement, maybe I'm not that appealing over 40 years old right now to be in a relationship.
All right, I'm gonna need you to watch your mouth, Akeem. Because my wife found me in my mama's basement. All right,
but look at where we are today. Free lunch.
Yes, but she found me in the basement.
Right.
Thank God she didn't.
When she found you in the basement,
I had a plan.
All right, cool.
All right,
I'm gonna kill it.
All right, and I killed it. Killing it now. Still
right.
Nah, that's, you know what? That's the honesty that you first have to have with yourself.
100%.
Before you have, I think many people, I hear a bunch of other, like society and culture podcasts where people are talking about, dating and relationships, right? And a lot of it is around like, what are some topics that I saw like one meme or whatever on Instagram was like, what are some topics that need to be discussed on the first date? And then the other one was like, what are some topics that are like, off limits on the first date?
Okay.
But I think, again, us being here in the therapist's office with a therapist, I think the better questions are, what are some conversations and things you need to be discussing with yourself while or before you get ready for the first date at all? Like what are some of the conversations you need to be just talking about with you?
Right.
And then we could just start breaking down what conversations you should be having with the other person.
Well, 100%, man. Am I ready for this, right? Like, what is it going to take? I mean, if I dig into my brain right now, a lot of people go into a relationship with quote unquote baggage, unresolved things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to know yourself. You right? Like,
I mean, is that how you are? Just so I'm clear,
Sure.
So we have the right working definition. When you say baggage, you mean it in the terms of unresolved things.
Potentially, yes.
That's baggage.
Correct.
Okay.
Am I aware?
Because I'm trying to figure out if I think that some people there's baggage that just never goes away. There's baggage that they feel is just a thing.
Correct.
Like it just is objectively. Like it's not like I'm still traumatized by whatever A, B, and C, but they call this whatever thing is, they call it baggage.
Correct.
And so I know that just having the right working definition, depending on who you're talking to, I know people just define baggage differently.
Correct.
But for you term that as if it's unresolved, that's baggage. Or could we say there's two types of baggage? There's unhealthy baggage, and then there's baggage that's just like a tumor. How we say there's benign tumors,
or malignant.
There's a cyst. There's a abnormality, but it's benign.
Correct.
Right. So could there be benign baggage, and then there's the unhealthy that needs to still be processed and worked out baggage?
Well, how about there could be baggage, right, that I'm aware of in a sense that, all right, you know what, like this is resolved, but as a result of this truth in my life, like this impacts how I show up in certain spaces, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I need to be aware of those things, right? Like my tolerance, my patience, how I manage certain things, how quickly, I may or may not get angry, there's a thing, or my icks or whatever they call it now in pop culture. How aware of yourself are you, right? Like you need to know enough about yourself, right, before you enter into a relationship, because first date, I think you may not speak about those things. That's a little deep for a first date. But essentially, I think if you're looking to pursue a relationship, like you got to know yourself. You have, got to be ready for that.
I like, because, and I said the whole like benign baggage versus, the unhealthy still need to be processed baggage, because there's people in the relationships that are referring to, the other person they're dating, they find out they got 2 kids with another woman, and they call that baggage. It's unfortunate because the word baggage has such a negative connotation and no one wants to be thinking of kids unfairly that way. Like those kids ain't do nothing to you, and already because you find out somebody got a kid that you're dating, that means they got baggage. Well, so I'm like, I think there's
a story. There should be a story behind the baggage, though, right? How did we get here, right?
Well, you know how we got here. We got together, me and their mama. We had a kid.
I killed it,
Killed it.
Twice, no.
Twice. 2 times.
But yeah, I mean, if we're dating past 30, 35, right? Okay. Realistically, you're probably going to meet someone who has children, may have been married before, something along those lines. And so if if you're not looking at that just based on the information as baggage, you're probably not the person for me in the first place, right? Because I think it's quite normal to come across that now.
Yes.
Now that you know what my quote unquote baggage is, now what's the story? Like, what's your relationship like with the children?
Yeah.
What's the relationship with the other parent?
Yeah.
You know, is that healthy? Is that something you would be interested in attaching yourself to? Because if we're going to be in a relationship, you inherit my baggage. It's yours. It's ours.
It's ours.
Ours.
These bags are our bags now.
Ours.
That was, you know what? That really was one of like the coolest things, man. I really appreciated about my wife early on in our journey is that that time, you know, post divorce where, you know, I'm back in my mom's house with my 3 kids and, you know, I'm sleeping in the basement on a futon, you know, my mom had down there. Like that, I want to say she already had finished her bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say she was in her master's program.
Okay.
Living on her own place with her son.
Mm-hmm.
So you got this single woman, got a job.
Mm-hmm.
She in her master's degree program, like she doing it, and comes across this, you know, diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
You know, this dude in the rough patch looking moment right now in his mama's basement. I can remember, man, her coming downstairs with like her textbooks, bro. And laying on beside me on that futon, bro. In that cold basement.
Yeah.
With the man.
That's special.
Listen.
That's special.
Bro. That must almost make me choke up, bro. Like that's
Listen, rightfully so.
That just was, and it was so like, I talked about this briefly in another episode. It was such a like uncomfortable time for me. Mm-hmm. Like, and I mean uncomfortable with her.
Right.
Like time for me, like to experience me where I was and see her where she is, and like to like really like let her love on me. Mm-hmm. Like that was uncomfortable.
Right.
Like just like sometimes I would just like reflect and like look back and be like why are you even here, yo?
Right.
Like this, because like a lot of times when you're in that like space, man, and you're just trying to like rebuild and piece your life back together, man, you can't see even the good in you. Right? Like it takes someone else to see that glimmer still there.
That's right.
Beneath the like the surface mud and the dirt and
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't see it, you know?
That's right.
But that was really, really a dope just journey to watch, man. Like to see her right there, finish her degree, and then her just continue to like, you know, press me. But that's why I think like if I was to do it again, and I met my wife today, I really would want, because my wife also, because of my ambitions, she also, it's not always been easy, you know, of a process either, because how she, you know, calls me, you know, I'm a dreamer, you know, right? Like I'm a visionary. I have these big ideas. And that can be walking that journey out with someone that you decide to be stitched at the heart with, walking that out with that visionary, with that dreamer can be very scary. Absolutely. For the other person, the non-dreamer,
right? Or
you know, the person who's not so much the visionary. They're comfortable. Like, look, let me just have my career, my 9 to 5, whatever. And so I would have wanted to the best I can in that much advanced time. If we were to meet today, try to prepare her as much as possible for the journey.
Okay.
And to whatever degree, really realistically, that's even possible, right? Because there's a big, huge portion, probably 80% of it, of the entrepreneur journey, the visionary journey, that's just not predictable.
It's unknown.
It's unknown, right? Which is why many of the rest of the people in the world call us crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, bro,
Right.
you know?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think, based on this story, which is a beautiful story, that's a blessing, did she take a chance or make a decision?
Did she take a chance or make a decision? I don't know. Did my wife take a chance on me or make a decision? I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question.
Okay.
I think that's something only she can answer.
The details of your story, though, begin to reveal some aspects of.
I think if I was forced to make an educated guess,
Yes,
right,
yes.
pull from as much cursory information and stories as I could, right? Man, I would say, dang. Gosh, Akeem, that was a fantastic question. I'm usually the one coming up with the fantastic questions. This is free lunch.
Free lunch.
Free food for your soul. Man, I gotta say I'm like stuck in the middle.
But listen to what you said. Listen.
No, granted, and why I'm in the middle is because there's times that totally say that woman made a decision.
Okay.
She just made up her mind.
Uh-huh.
This my boo. And this is whatever it looked like. And then there's times where I go, she took a chance. Because I've also seen my wife. As much as I believe wholeheartedly that my wife loves me, she's my rider, she, for me no matter what. There's been times where, that only we see because they're, intimate and private moments where I've seen my wife terrified.
Right.
Right? And so in those moments, they drive me, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, this visionary, because I'm going, my wife is betting on me. She's taking a chance on me in those really high strung moments. And she needs me to show up at 100. Okay. She need me to come off the bleachers, off the bench, fully warmed up,
ready to go
out here, slam dunking.
Right.
She doesn't need me the way the fear or anxiety or worry I see in her eye in this particular season or moment. She need babe not coming on the court, still trying to, running up and down the, trying to get the layup warm up. What I mean? Like,
we need you to dunk that.
She need me like crossing and like slamming, the hoop aggressively. And so I think, and who knows? I think either way, even for the persons listening, if they feel their significant other is a person who's made a decision, 100%, they don't feel split. They're like, no, they made a decision for me. I think even that, because I think the same could be said about the aspect of love, right? Right? Because I believe love is a decision. That's a decision that's made perpetually.
Yes.
Constantly. It's not like a one-time thing.
Correct.
So even in this marriage, I can see different seasons in our 7 years that we've been married where my wife is choosing. And then I could see little pockets or something where I go, baby is like, she like rolling the dice here. Like she's betting on me big. But either way, I think it all equates to love still for me. I'm not feeling like no shade either way.
Right.
Cause it's like, whether she betting on me or choosing me, I'm both at the center.
Okay.
Right. Like she could be just like, people who, gamble and bet on racehorses. Like, right. Like whether however you want to word it, whether you bet on horse number A or, number one, or you choose horse number one, you still are putting a significant investment in either one. The choice is an investment.
Correct.
The bet is an investment.
Okay. I'm a ride with you, right? But I'm gonna say this. Her decision to be with you was not solely based on the fact that you were in that space at that time, or the fact that you were a dreamer.
Yeah.
Her decision to be with you or to agree to be in this union, right, was based on what she saw in you, which goes way beyond that. She had to see a husband in you. She had to see the value in being in a relationship with you, right?
Yeah.
And being in that relationship. You said that she came down in your mom's basement and she sat down next to you on the futon. That sounds like love. Right? Like,
what is love?
right?
Baby, don't know.
Right? Like she loves your character, your personality.
Yeah.
Not just the dreams. Now,
Oh yeah.
being
I
in
don't
a
think she
relationship.
loved none of the dreams.
Whoa, this is so here we go, right? So now as we're in the relationship, right?
Give it up, Mike.
And she has to now deal with what comes with Brother Chris, right? Like this is who my husband is. He's a dreamer. And sometimes, she's out back sweating, is he gonna dunk the ball? Is he gonna miss the layup? Like what's gonna happen? But that's the journey. That's a part of the story. That's how we get to free lunch.
Get the free.
That's how we got here, man.
Free food for your soul.
She trusted, man. She trusted God.
Yes.
Y'all both did.
Wife is pretty dope. Well, let me pose the question to you.
Yes, sir.
Did your wife choose you or did she bet on you?
She forced me. She dragged me into this now.
He said, option 3.
Listen, if you let her tell the story of how we met, we knew each other since we were like really young. And I think we were like maybe 12 and 13, just, hanging out. Yeah. She says to me straight up with a straight face, she's like, you're going to marry me and we're going to have kids together.
No, she did not.
Listen,
At 13?
At 13, she said this. I
She
promise
said, you're going to marry me and we're going to have kids together.
Straight facts.
What?
And I told her she was crazy.
If I was 13 and I was you, I would have said the same thing.
Right.
I think all of us 13-year-old boys would have.
Right?
You bugging. I'm about to go jump on this PlayStation right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Babies, marriage. What are we talking about? I'm on the couch chilling right now. What are we talking about?
Wow.
But, as a story goes on and we go through different seasons and we get older, she made a decision.
She made a decision at 13, it sounds like. You don't even know about gambling and betting at 13.
Right?
She was like, listen, I've been in my prayer room and the Lord told me.
I sought the Lord.
Told
and he heard my cry.
To tell you. That's wild.
Yeah, man. But, we've been rocking for a very long time.
So you've been married 13 years?
No, this year, I'm a therapist 13 years.
13, oh, okay.
So we're married this year 18 years.
18. How many years you been together?
Forever, man. Like,
really?
It was official. The official first day of us becoming like a thing after the threat of, you're gonna marry me and have my kids was her freshman year in high school, my sophomore year. I saw her like the first day of school, and I was like, oh, that's
the girl who told me she was gonna have my babies.
Right. And so since that, so I saw her. We grew up in church. Yeah. So I saw that day at school. I'm like, oh. And from there, so.
He was like, all right.
Yeah.
Bet.
I'm going to kill it.
Did you. Bet. I'm going to kill it 4 times. So did you guys go to college together?
No. So we had a baby.
Because I know many of like those high school love stories.
Yeah,
it had time to venture and go to college. It kind of.
It had the ups and downs. No one went away for school. I stayed locally. She didn't go to college until later. I started, but we had a baby early on.
Okay.
So, baby came, and then we really became super intentional about, hey, what are we gonna do?
Okay.
And that's also a part of the reason why I became so motivated for therapy, because we did premarital counseling at that time, and that really opened my eyes to this space.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a big portion. Yeah. Our story is also really how we end up in some of these spaces right now. As far as me being a therapist, her being a real estate broker, like it's all like connected. Yeah.
Love that. Mm-hmm. So you ended up marrying a visionary too?
100%.
And she does that full time?
Full time.
Wow. And how long has she been a full timer?
She's been full time since I want to say 2017-ish, around that.
Wow. That's what's up, man. Anything, we're about to wrap up before we close. Anything particularly unique, I'll use that word, or challenging when it comes to marriage, doing marriage when there's both two visionaries? Like, because someone could just look at the surface and go, it's like all gravy because everybody controls their own schedule kind of.
Right,
you know what I mean? But
right.
is there anything that's like beneath the surface, nuanced about that makes that actually challenging than what meets the eye?
Challenging?
Just a challenge. So not necessarily good or bad, but
You know,
like we got to be intentional about this because we're both entrepreneurs. Or
so we're intentional about making sure that whatever we do honors God, right? That's what grounds us, right? So I say this all the time, right? Even as a therapist, I view this as ministry. And I think that always helps me to really think about that next decision. Like, if I do this next thing, if I take this next chance, am I honoring God? Right? Yeah. Like, and so that's a big piece of what we both do, right? How can we sort of have the influence of just adding God in everything that we do, even with being an entrepreneur, so that it's moving in a certain direction. So that's the one main thing that kind of grounds both of us.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, before we close out, man, we like to end each segment with, again, what we call free lunch, free food for your soul. So just the way food edifies the body.
Yes, sir.
We want you to, whether it's reflection on something we already discussed or a brand new thing that comes to your mind, what is something that you could offer the listeners, like food edifies the body, that can edify their soul, like that free food, man? What is something you want our listeners to take away from today?
Be intentional. Be intentional. Whether you're an entrepreneur, you're seeking to be in a relationship, be intentional about whatever it is that you're doing, right? Have some direction, right? See the whole thing through, having the thought or having the idea without a plan or way to get there, it just remains as a thought. Yeah. Be super intentional and really put some thought behind whatever it is that you want to be successful in. Be it marriage, starting your business, whatever it is, but be intentional.
Off the cuff, fire question.
Let's do it. What's
the greatest thing you need millennials to get it together in?
Listen, we got to take accountability.
Accountability, let's go. You heard it from the therapist, y'all.
Take accountability.
Millennials, we gotta
accountability.
We gotta take accountability. I can only imagine.
Listen, everything ain't everybody else's fault, man.
Listen, Akeem Wright, licensed therapist. Tell everybody, man, where they can get in touch with you, connect with you on your website or social media if they are looking for a Black male therapist or just a therapist in general, man. Somebody to help them with individual therapy, family therapy. I think you still do both, right?
Yep, still do both.
How can they get in touch?
You can catch me on Instagram, New Inspiration LLC, or you can catch me on Psychology Today. Send me a DM, a message, whatever it is, and we'll make something happen. We'll make it happen.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
Make sure y'all check his link that'll be in the description of this podcast episode. Sir. Tap in. It's free lunch, free food for your soul, y'all.
Lunch.
Peace.
Peace.